Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where we've got a very interesting guest in our studio tonight. We've not got Michael Roberts. Those of you who think part 2 of Michael Roberts is on tonight, it's next week. This week, we've got Jeffrey Simpson. This man is steeped in racing. He's been around the block, and his grandfather and his father were both racing guys, a Durban-born and bred boy, and he's got a very interesting story to tell.
Yeah, it's always good to go back and listen to what happened in the days of yore. And I'm looking forward to hearing what he's going to say. I've seen a couple of photographs, and they certainly go back a few years.
Yeah, they certainly do. But going back in time, when was the last time you saw Manchester United in such a poor shape?
Yeah, well, they had Mata sent off for the first time in his career. It's two stupid things.
There were a lot of red cards over the weekend.
Yeah.
Are the refs getting
Arsenal,
stricter?
Liverpool, and Man United that I know of all that. I don't know if they're getting stricter, but stupid tackles. Cochrane, you know, he's on a yellow card and he gives away a
Coquelin,
yeah. So he went in the Spurs game, which, as you know, ended up 2. Do you still watch Arsenal?
No.
So I'll just tell you it was 2.
I just watched the highlights, okay, which were, as far as I was concerned, low lights. Okay?
Yeah, well, Leicester keep marching on, James. Just to update you, they've gone 5 clear. Spurs.
And I watched Leicester.
Did you?
I watched the Foxes. I just won't watch Arsenal.
Yeah,
or Manchester United, or Manchester City. I watch Tottenham now and again.
Yeah,
I might actually become a sort of closet Tottenham supporter.
Just make it closet, James.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool were very fortuitous to come away with a win with 10 men. They got 2 sloppy goals against them, the Palace. But it's looking good with about 9 games to go for Leicester. Spurs are next closest.
How can Leicester actually get beaten?
Oh, comfortably. They could run 5th.
No chance.
No, statistically,
mathematically,
I should say.
The way that team plays and the way they put it together.
They just do not want those 2 stars to be injured.
Yeah, and the centre back, John Hood.
Huth.
Robert
Huth Mathiensen. Yeah, Huth. Yeah, so the soccer's good. The Sharks won, so we're a pretty happy weekend.
The Sharks won despite themselves.
Yeah,
because they are poor. And the only team in South Africa that's any good is the Lions. How did they beat the Chiefs?
They were fantastic. The Lions are just a
New
very
Zealand,
good team.
To beat the Chiefs is like the most monumental mountain that you can climb.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. They've done well, the Lions. And
South Africa, our boy David Miller, he's been playing well for...
Playing well, our boy David Miller.
He should be batting 4 anywhere in any team in the world. He should bat 4.
Yeah,
he's the best one-day player and T20 player.
Don't you think 8 to 10 is a good bet for Australia to make the semis of the World Cup 2020?
I would think an excellent bet.
Excellent bet. I saw it and I thought 8 to 10. Australia bat all the way down, and if they chase the target, they're excellent.
They played very, very well. But gee, we had some.
The last over was criminal.
No, not even
8 balls.
Not even the last. The one over before that. He bowled wides and this and grief. You can't do that if you want to win a
But we won all. Is there one more game to go?
Yeah, Wednesday at Newlands. Okay, Cape Town, Newlands.
Okay.
That's
should be great.
Super producer's got everything on his fingertips. Let's go and have a look at our 3 to follow.
His dad, distorted humor, he's probably one of his best sons at stud.
I'll have another, wins the Derby. I'll have another in the Preakness. Lilacs and Lace, 48-1, upset.
He's just a big, strong, leggy horse.
Right, well, let's go and have a look, and we're going to Turfentine. They had a whole lot of minor features at Turfentine, the listed races and those type of things. And the juveniles stepped out. There were some very smart juveniles. Mike Miller sent a very nice horse from KwaZulu-Natal that ran an excellent race. And on top of that, we saw Sean Terry do what he does best, step out first timer against winners, and they end up winning. Let's go and have a look at, I think it was the Stormbird Stakes. Flying Myth.
Yeah, here we go. It's on the outside. It's a family that Chris van Niekerk is principal owner, had the mare was Manamu, by Captain El Mare, the influencer Captain El's great, and quite trippy, very fast and gets rolling. And Riverine was your favourite in Adrian van Vuren and Reike van Vuren's colours in the orange, easy to pick up. Mark Miller's horses in the pink at the back. And it looked a very good race right into the last furlong, James.
Absolutely. Well, here, Flying Myth comes to tackle Riverine. And watch how Rob Jewell moves up here on the outside. You actually think he's going to win it. So that's what a good race he ran. And I thought it was an extremely good race from the juveniles here. Cornet Species runner down the inside.
Yeah, fresh. That runs a good race. So the top four run good races. Mike's horse just tires. As it comes through to win Rob's Jewel, it just gets a bit tired. Yeah. And Mr. Kumalo, who had 6 winners on the day, gets up to win on this debutant Flying Myth, as I say, by Trippy out of Manamu. James, a wonderful day for Sean Terry, Kumalo and Chris Finico.
I think Sean had 4, didn't he?
Yeah, and Chris had 3, I think.
Chris had 3 and Kumalo had 6 among us.
It's a wonderful achievement.
So, you know, they just took the race meeting by the scruff of its neck. And to win with a first-timer in a feature race, not bad going.
James, they've been stepping out a lot of juvenile winners at Terry Yard. For them to pick this horse to go in there, you knew it had to be able to run.
Well, the point is he's had, I think, 4 fillies that have all won that he stepped out and won with. So, you know, Sean's on a roll. The champion trainer, South African champion trainer, is where he always wanted to be.
Stage.
Yeah. And he deserves it. And we moved on from him to a trainer who's been around for many, many years, and he never really had the support, but I can tell you he's a very good trainer as well in Cape Town. Harold Crawford. He stepped out to first-timer in race, what race was it? Race 1 at Kenilworth on the 5th of March. It was Saturday as well. And this first-timer ran a cracking good race and shows what a good trainer young Harold is, or old Harold, our mate. Because,
he's a good trainer.
Yeah, he's a nice chap to talk to because you can't understand a word he's saying.
Yeah.
No word. He's got that Malmesbury accent. And then I said to him, Harold, I want to get some oats and
sounds like he's goggling.
Yeah. It's a Malmesbury accent. That's what they call it, the Malmesbury accent. Yeah. But anyway, Cream Soda Green. By Gimme the Green Light. Let's go and pick it up at the start.
Yeah, this is bred by Highland Stud out of an arch mare, and you'll see it because of the distinct white face. The favourite here is a horse called Attenborough, who runs in the now famous Worcester Silks alongside him. But the horse with all the speed is Barack Levan and Marsh Shirtlift's colours. So the 3 on the right-hand side of your screen is where the action is initially. Barack Levan gets tired, and Attenborough, who has the experience, comes through to beat Cream Soda Green.
Well, Cream Soda Green shows tremendous pace. She's up there with these 2 that have both raced. She hasn't had a run yet, this filly, so, you know, it just shows she was well prepared for the race. And she's got great pace, and she's by Gimme the Green Light, who's a young stallion. He might actually end up producing some really nice horses when you look at the way this filly ran. I thought it was an excellent run. She almost hits the front here. You think that she's just about going to win, and then the favourite goes after her.
Yeah, Give Me the Green Light, James, is by More Than Ready, and he was a superb racehorse. And More Than Ready is starting to become a sire of sires. So this augurs well for Give Me the Green Light. But this is a great race. Attenborough gets pushed all the way. Young Donovan Dillon against MJ Bielefeld. It's a cracking good race.
Yeah, the Western Winter Attenborough ends up winning out of in camera, so he's got a pedigree to die for, 2 million rand. And he ends up beating Cream Soda Green, who couldn't have cost 200,000.
Yeah, probably.
Just shows you the 1/10 of the price horse and nearly ended up winning.
That's the beauty of racing.
Certainly one worth putting in the notebook. But let's go and have a look at Scottsville yesterday. And the first race was juvenile plate for fillies. Mike de Kock had one that stepped out first time out and absolutely doddled in. They were very confident. And Gavin Finzel stepped out one for Brian Bernard, which we think looks like a star in the making.
Yeah, the horse is called My Girl Down Under. Arthur Marcus is riding. It's very quick from the jump by My Boy Charlie out of a More Than Ready mare. So beautifully bred filly. She's straight into speed. The original favourite is down its inside, and that is Eb Tuhal, I think went off as favourite. And these 2 look to be the main protagonists. And James, your filly runs a good race in 3rd.
Yeah, she's certainly worth having a look at. She's a hot filly, but she can run a bit, and she runs a cracker. But the My Boy Charlie is absolutely cantering in front and got Eb Tuhal off the bit, got the rest of them off the bit.
Yeah.
Eb Tuhal, I think, is going to need a lot more ground in this. This is
My Girl Down Under is very fast, James, and Arthur's sitting very quietly through the 2 pole. And whereas our friend Eric Ngwani is hard at work, another young guy who's doing very well at the moment, and it just can't close the gap. Yours plugs on nicely to get third, but the winner is comfortably clear of them, James.
Well, it's encouraging when you get beaten half a length by a filly that's won already in your first run, and I think that this filly will go on and do something. She's quite nice, but the winner was super impressive. My Boy Charlie, fillies, and I can tell you, My Boy Charlie is a very fancy
good son.
stallion.
I actually bought one. I got one in my yard of My Boy Charlie. It's called Play the Laugh.
Play the Laugh.
Play my old soccer name.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Play the Laugh. So I hope they slipped you through a couple of through balls that you just were
Absolutely.
able to
No,
nod
I used
in.
to do the slipping.
Yeah. Well, that's it from the blast, the three to follow, and we're going to move on to blast from the past.
Soft falling rain, pulling clear. Soft falling rains won the SA Nursery by 3.
Racing in the 2000 Guineas. Gates fly and they're racing in the Godolphin Mile.
They're off and racing.
Weight didn't matter. Class tells, soft falling rain, much too good. Soft falling rain, an impressive Guineas winner. Soft falling rain is drawing clear.
He's made it 7 out of 7 by winning here today.
But it's soft falling rain who is powering away. We'll see out the mile in style. A high-class performer wins the Nay of Joel Stakes.
Irish Ranger's going to complete the lineup. All in a line. They racing in the Momentum Health November handicap, and London News on the outside at this stage is 5 lengths off the leader. Leavenworth at the rail broke well. Centenarian's going to go and lead them. Centenarian's leading it from Sir Fate of Sun in second. Then we drop another length and a half away to Planetary Music and Secretary General behind those runners. Leavenworth has dropped back at the rail. London News is racing one off the fence out there. He's about 4.5, 5 lengths off the leader. Ashton Town is on his inside. Hardball is back there at the rail now. Then we drop another length away to Caldoon. Irish Ranger's going to give them 8 lengths start. Grecian Gale in behind those runners. And Morisco's at the back of the field about 8 lengths off the leader as they now go down towards the 800-metre marker. Centenarian's in front, but he's trying to slow it down out there. He has it by 1.5 lengths. Planetary Music's got up second. Sir Fate of Sun is back in third position, and then comes behind those Secretary General Leavenworth. London News with the red sleeves and the red cap. There you can see him now as they swing for home. He's 3 lengths off the leader. Ashton Town won't let him get away. In fact, Ashton Town's gone past him out there with 300 metres to go. We're in for a thriller at the 300-metre marker. Planetary Music, Secretary General, Centenarian on the inside, Sir Fate of Sun. Leavenworth could cause an upset. London News on the outside and Ashton Town both feeling pressure to win with 100 to go. It's going to be on the outside, Secretary General who's in front. London News is trying to wear him together with Ashton Town, but Secretary General's in front. Secretary General has won it from on the outside, Ashton Town. London News behind that with Leavenworth running a cracker.
Right, well, there we go. What a race.
Was it Paddy
Secretary
Creer?
General, Patrick Creer,
Yeah.
He's certainly a very good trainer indeed.
Yeah, that's right. And
You see what he beat?
yeah, he beat London News and Ashton Town.
Both ended up size.
Yeah, that's right, correct. And very good horse. And it's always been a good race in November handicap, James.
Yeah, Patrick Creer learnt his trade with Terence Millard, the
That's
master.
right.
Yeah.
He plied his trade with him.
Wow. Well, that's where he learnt this,
Yeah.
from. He was Terence's assistant for many years. What a good win. 1996 November handicap. I remember it well. I was in Australia and I won the consolation that year. So we're going to move on, and we're going to have a break, and we'll be back.
Metre region. Bunker Bull's going to try and tighten up on the inside with the red sleeves and cap. Then Promissory 20-man Jones. Natal and Bunker Bull past the 400-metre marker. And Cutting Edge tries to run on from behind, but Natel is finding more. It's Natel from Bunker Bull Promissory. Then comes Cutting Edge, and Natel still goes. Bunker Bull is going to try and stay on for that second place, but Natel will win it, and Natel has won it. Bunker Bull will run second. Third will go to Cutting Edge, and then Promissory.
Well, a lot of people thought this was his last win, soft going, a lot of things suited him. He came from last and absolutely ran past him. This time, went to the front, cantered, and looks like a very good horse. And you could have got 18 to 10 on Interbet about this horse. Wonderful price, Interbet price. Much better than the 12 to 10 that he started at. You know.
He's a very good horse, James. He's an Argonaut, and as you say, he's versatile, runs from the front. And have you noticed his tail?
Yeah,
that's what
well,
Harry's son's
tail
was like that for 2 years. We tried everything we could, and slowly it took 2 years and it's grown.
Did you grow it out? Did you not try all those remedies?
We tried everything.
Well, you should have put him in touch with, what's his name, Cullis. Jacques Cullis. He knows how to grow hair.
Yeah, and Shane Warne.
Shane Warne, yeah.
Wayne Rooney. Yeah. I should have phoned them.
Phone them, and then you'll get the business. That's
get the business.
Phone the boys, find out how to grow this horse tail.
This is a good horse.
The horse with no tail, won in a common canter. Let's go and have a look at current affairs.
Yes. If you love soccer and you play the tote, you won't believe what Interbet has to offer you, or the excitement of tote betting on your computer or your cell phone. It's simple. Choose your teams and your bets, work out what your combinations will cost, see how big the pool is, and place your bets. You can even track your bet live as it happens and get updates on your progress. It's all the fun of the tote on your phone. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now at www.interbet.co.za and you could be a winner.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. No stakes racing around the country, a couple of listed races, but we did have Super Saturday. We were going to show you a couple of races where we had good South African interest in, and we've got news from around the country as well, and around the world in fact. But James, should we go straight into have a look at those races in Dubai?
Yeah, I think so. The Maktoum Challenge Round 3 was the big Keen Ice's American champion who beat Mubtaj twice in America.
You know who he beat? Who? He beat the King.
And he beat Mubtaj in 2 legs of the Triple Crown.
But
the thing is, you'd expect him to be in the right. You'd expect him to be the right horse. He ran down the field.
He beat American Pharaoh. A lot of people don't know. And he came into Super Saturday with this big boost that he was the big horse, but he never really fired. And James, you watched the race. Mubtaj didn't quicken up like he did last year. Is he taking time to come right?
Well, let's watch the race, because I think that this track is running from the front.
Yeah,
and if you're not in front, you've got very little chance of getting to the front horses.
Well, let's have a look at the Maktoum Challenge.
All in, gate shut, they're ready. Racing in round 3, Gold City a little slow to go, and Golden Soul not showing a great deal of pace. Keen Ice not zippy out of the machine and was being ridden in the early part as Special Fighter goes forward with Harthek and Gun Pit on the rail as they race past the judge the first time, and Special Fighter goes looking for the lead. Faulkner moves up deep, Gun Pit on the fence, and Harthek is a length away. He's running 4th. Mubtaj on the rail is 5th and 3 lengths off the lead. Keen Ice is 3 deep and going forward, followed by Storm Belt on the inside of Pylon. 3/4 of a length away Manasseh, then Gold City. In front of second last is Golden Soul, and Watershed is a length away, dropping out to the tail of the field. They ran a quarter in 26 flat. They're down the back, and Special Fighter showed the way, led by more than a length over Faulkner. Gun Pit a half length away, 3rd. 3/4 of a length to Keen Ice. He's 3 deep. Harthek in the middle, Mubtaj on the rail. Wonder Pylon, and then came Storm Belt in front of Manasseh. Golden Soul. Gold City is second last, and Watershed will have to come from the tail of the field as Special Fighter leads them out of the back. 800 metres in 51.4. Special Fighter leading by a length over Faulkner. Gunpit 3/4 of a length away, being ridden 3/4 of a length to Keen Ice. He's under pressure. Morpdehidge is off the fence now. He's about to launch his claim. Then Manasseh, Hearthek, Pylon and Storm Belter. Special Fighter led for home. He's a length and a half clear. Gunpit into the clear. Then Faulkner. Morpdehidge 4 lengths away. Special Fighter's the leader. 250 metres left to go. Gunpit is trying to run him down, but Special Fighter is going great guns. Special Fighter has left them on the canvas. He's KO'd them. He's led all of the way to win round 3. Special Fighter first, Gunpit second. Faulkner has run third, Morpdehidge fourth, and then Manasseh in front of Watershed running on.
Well, there we go, James. Everything from the front. The first 4 into straight with the first 4 home, but this winner drew away from them, James.
You know what's interesting is that the time was pretty slow compared to World Cup time and like that. You know, so this track doesn't suit horses unless you're right up in the front.
Have to be up
and
there.
that just shows. You know, that I don't believe this horse Special Fighter is any better than Morpdehidge. But I think that you get the run of the race. Go to the front and you stay there. The others are not able to make up the ground. Everything that was behind, nothing ran on at all. In fact, they went further and further back.
Yeah, I see Morpdehidge sort of rallied when he got challenged for fourth and showed typically that his horse is going to tighten up.
Cracking good race.
Yeah, I think he's going to tighten up. But then Gunpit and Faulkner.
Mike was interviewed afterwards. I'm sorry we weren't able to get him. I tried to get him to speak to us today, but maybe next week. He sort of said, well, you know, we're disappointed, but he said there'll be a lot behind us that are even more disappointed and will be scratching their heads. I would just say, you look at the race, the way the race was run, you had no
James,
chance of coming.
Isn't that going to be the case on the big night?
Probably.
What about California Chrome, horse like that, and Frosted?
Well,
they're going to have to sit up there.
Absolutely. California Chrome has no problem. He just wants to be on the outside.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the Americans don't mind racing from up there, but is it the right way to race? You know, that's
maybe on
the
that
question.
surface, yeah.
You
All right, let's go on to the next one.
You want to make it a fair horse race. Every horse race should be fair. Every horse should have a chance of winning. Those horses that turned in the straight 5th backwards had no chance of winning, and the 4th horse had no chance of passing the 1st horse.
Michael tried Urtijal on there. We ran Royal Navy Show. They detested it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think unless you're in front on that track,
unless you can handle it. I don't know what it is, but let's go and look at the Jebel Hatta. This is on turf. It's a Group 1 race over 1,800 metres, and Mike de Kock had a few horses in there. We had Harry's Son, and the hot favourite, the 1 to 2, is Trista, who's a very good horse. Let's have a look at the race.
They're ready. Gates fly and they're racing in the Jebel Hatta, and Prayer for Relief and Sefri out wide, 2 of the first to go. Urtijal came out quickly. Johann Strauss began well. Farrier midfield in front of Harry's Son. Zahi back tonight. Prayer for Relief began well, but drifts back to be 3rd last on the outside of Earnshaw. And Trista's 3/4 of a length away at the teat of the field. Urtijal takes them down the back. He leads by a length and a half. Johann Strauss is second. Sefri a half length away 3rd. 1 1/4 to Harry's Son. 3/4 to Farrier. 3/4 to Zahi on the rail. A length and a half to Prayer for Relief. 1 deep on the outside of Earnshaw. And a length away is Trista. 400 metres in 26 flat. And Urtijal is showing the way towards the back corner. Urtijal at the 1,000 metres peg. 1 1/2 in front of Sefri with Johann Strauss ahead away. 3rd in the box seat. A length and a half to Farrier on the outside of Harry's Son. A length and a half to Zahi. Then Prayer for Relief Earnshaw. And ahead to Trista on the outside as they left 800 behind at 49.8. They're on the long swing for home. They're at the 600 metres pole. Urtijal by 3/4 to Sefri. Johann Strauss on the rail and waiting. Then Farrier, Harry's Son, Zahi, Prayer for Relief, Earnshaw, and Trista coming through on the inside of Prayer for Relief. Urtijal led in the straight 350 metres out from Farrier, and here's Trista coming down the outside. Zahi's trying to go with him, but Trista joins in. Urtijal fights back. This time he didn't whoosh, he zoomed. Trista raced away from Farrier, then Urtijal, and Trista is a big winner of the Jebel Hatta. Farrier second, his first ever run on turf. Then Edagel, Harry's son Zahi.
Yeah, very good win by the favourite Trista. He's James horse that they were planning originally to come through on the dirt, and they got him on the turf, and he's came out of England. He's been a revelation. This Charlie Appleby's a good trainer too, and this is a good horse.
What interests me is that we've heard that you're not going to get in on World Cup night because they're going to just pick the best 8 horses.
Myself and Urtijol, you know, we've got the same race figure going, and there was a head between us here. But I've been gleaning information from Roy over there, and Roy's spoken about the cock, and basically they can have a small field. They'd rather have a small field and keep their mirror ratings up there with the Solo and the Great Gatsby and horses like that. So to me, it doesn't make sense. But let's wait and see. You know, we don't want to preempt anything. But at this stage,
it would be a pity to, you know, have gone all that way. I don't think your horse has ever run out the money, has he?
No, never. And James, that's it. He's always got a stake.
And he's always running in.
Since he's maiden, he's running stakes races every time. And every time he's unlucky, he's tight there. It was very unfortunate. He's as gutsy as anything. You know, a couple of strides he'd have grabbed third. So we have to wait and see, James. But
what's the long-term plan if you don't go to the World Cup?
Oh no, we go for the Hong Kong Mile. Invited the Hong Kong Mile in April. And then we'll take things from there. Back on the right-hand bend. Yeah. You know, so I think might be better. But no excuses. Trista came from behind them and beat them all. He's a very good horse, and he's going to be up there with Solo in the betting.
Well, Solo had its comeback run in France, by the way, and absolutely dawdled in. Although he got into trouble on the rail, nearly didn't get out, and he got up to win a 7 furlong. So he's very good, and he's back. So
he's a very good horse. And Urtijol's a galloper too. You know what just amazes me? When I went back on last year's race, and this race we're trying to get into, that Solo won last year, and they had a very small field, but they had 2 horses on the same merit rating as Urtijol and us, and they hadn't won a group. They'd won a Group 2 and a Group 3. Both Urtijol and Harry's son are Group 1 winners. Group 1 winners. This was a Group 1 race, so I don't know how the system works in Dubai. They'd rather have a small field instead of letting people fight. When you run 6 in this race, James, 150,000.
Yeah, listen, you'd obviously want to get in the race if you could. That's what it's all about. Let's go and have a look at the other news quickly. Santa Anita have laid a new turf course.
Yes, nice to see that they're pushing the turf, because they've had so many problems with the different all-weather surfaces.
Well, apparently that the horsemen say that there's more and more support for turf racing in America, which is completely against the grain there. The dirt racing's always been the graft.
It's always the graft.
Queen's 90th birthday, so they've renamed the Ascot Gold Cup
to the Queen's 90th birthday. Very nice name.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a couple of other things. Interestingly enough, Christophe Soumillon, while we're talking about Dubai, he was fined and given a suspension for 3 meetings for wearing a non-approved safety vest when he went out to weigh in. So he'd been fined before, but fortunately it clears him for the big night, because there's 3 meetings, Jebel Ali and what have you. So he'll be all right. But that very strict there.
On the safety vest. So
non-approved safety vest, and they said, you're not going to get away with this. And he was actually hoping. He had 2 very good runners on Super Saturday, Mubtahij and Darien, and they both ran below par. Just another.
We got National Yearling Sales coming up, 26th to the 28th of April.
Yeah, those would be good.
David Payne.
David Payne. He won a big race.
He won a big race in Australia.
Yeah, a Group 2, I think it was. He's got a very good young horse.
Yeah.
And he's going, talking about good horses, Duramante is the top Japanese horses, and he's coming out to take on Postponed. They're joint favourites. Postponed won the King George as a top horse. They're going to lock horns. And there was one other thing I want to speak to you about. Lope de Vega.
Yeah, well, David Payne's horse is by Lope de Vega.
Oh, was it? Did he try? I didn't realise that. That's the horse that won the Riesling Stakes, Group 2, you know, and it's his 14th stake winner, Lope de Vega. He's doing well.
Well, he stands for $45,000, 45,000 euros. He averaged 99,000 euros last year, his first crop. And the interesting thing about Loop de Vega is National Yearling Sales, you know, TBA sponsor this segment. They've got a Loop de Vega on the National Yearling Sales on the 27th and 28th in Johannesburg. So, you know, that should be very, very popular.
Just before we close, one last thing. The government have got involved in England and said to any bookmaking operators who work from offshore, they're going to have to start paying the same taxes as the guys in the UK and the government have now said it come into effect.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So everyone's got to pay big money for the levy
Let's
board.
get
for
our
stakes money.
bookmakers paying what they should be paying as well, because apparently
that roar's still going on.
Yeah, the war's still going on. But we've got to wrap. Raymond's screaming in my ear. We'll be back with Jeff Simpson. Well, as promised, we meet some wonderful people through our lives, and I end up coming to Durban and would never ever have come across Jeff Simpson if I hadn't played golf with a bunch of people at Troubleshooters. It's a golf school that plays the first Thursday of every month. Russell Simpson puts it together. It's a great bunch of guys, and we have a lot of fun. And Jeff corralled me one day when we were waiting for prize giving and said, I've got a story to tell. I can tell you a bit about racing. And I had no idea what he was talking about. Well, you probably got no idea what he was talking about either. So I thought, well, let him come on the show, because it's great to go back in the past and relive what happened in the past. And Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, James, for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, you look like you should be a jockey.
James, I wanted to be a jockey, to tell you the truth. I've got the bandy legs, and I'm weighing in at 67. But
that's a bit heavy.
A bit heavy. Now, yeah, but a lot of beer, James, a lot of beer, Troubleshooters.
Yeah.
When I was very young, my dad took me to the, and in those days they had the jockey initiation place where you went to get weighed, etc. It was the Durdock Centre.
Yeah.
And my dad took me, and I said, well, I just have to arrive and I'm going to go. So I'm going to be a jockey. And the measurement that really gave it away was when they measured me from the bottom of my kneecap down to the floor. And then they said to me, no, sorry, you're not going to make a jockey, you're going to be too big. I was gutted. I think I cried for 2 weeks.
I'm sure, because you had ridden and you were
involved.
Oh,
yeah, done a lot of riding, yeah.
Yeah, and so you went into business and you made yourself a fortune and became a very well-respected guy around Durban. Imagine if you'd been a jockey, no one would have even given you a second thought.
I don't know so much. I don't know about making a fortune. I've got a daughter that horse rides, believe me.
Yeah.
And they cost a lot of money.
So the horses have been in your blood for how many generations now?
It started with my grandfather.
Yeah.
In the 1930s, when he was an owner and a trainer. Josh Simpson was my grandfather. Yeah. And that's where I think it infected my late father, Len Simpson, who became a veterinary surgeon and a very good vet.
Yeah.
And then specialising in racehorses.
And then you wanted to be a jockey. So let's go back and have a look at Josh Simpson, who won the Summer Handicap. We've got a picture of it, and you can talk us through it, because it's an amazing picture. And this is the picture of his horse winning the Summer Handicap.
Now, if you look, that's 1931, and I think the horse's Manners and Johnny Askew up. And look at the stakes. In those days, in 1931, it was £4,000.
Yeah.
Related today, like if you take the pound as it is, it's like 120,000 rand. So it's a lot of money in those days. And yeah, he was a character, old Joss.
Well, I asked my father how much £4,000 was, and he said you could have bought 2 big houses with £4,000 in Houghton. Yeah. So, and he had only been alive about 8 years at that stage. He's 93 today. But this is amazing. And when you look at the race, there's the jockey board. The jockey board has like 30 horses in the race.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And to win the summer handicap was a big deal. It was the biggest race in Johannesburg.
Yeah, it was. It was the biggest race in Johannesburg.
So your grandfather was a pretty successful trainer.
Yeah, and his claim to fame was that he never used to race them early.
Yeah.
He raced them as maidens into their mid 4-year-olds. So they were big strapping and they were fully grown and taking on these little 3-year-olds. And he was shrewd. He made a lot of money, I think. But he also lost a lot of money.
He was a gambler.
He was a gambler, no doubt about it. Yeah.
And his famous party trick, lighting cigars.
Lighting cigars in those days, expensive cigars with £10 notes.
Yeah. But you've got to have a motto to be able to light cigars with £10 notes.
Absolutely. But his famous saying was, and my dad always said it, his famous saying was, better to be a has-been than a never was.
Which makes sense, doesn't it?
It does, of course it does. Yeah.
Anyway, so then he signed your father, and your father obviously was bitten by the bug, and decided to become a veterinary surgeon.
Yeah, he left home at a young age. He went to he did his seamanship, or the school in those days with the General Botha, where all the youngsters went, and he was affiliated to the Royal Navy as a Botha boy. He was a good boxer.
Yeah.
And after deployment, he enrolled at Onderstepoort, University of Pretoria, to do veterinary science, and qualified as a veterinary surgeon in, I think, 1950.
Yeah, we got a picture of him there.
Is that 1950?
That must be it, somewhere around there.
He's at the back from me, on the back right hand with a moustache. Back right. Looks a lot like my brother.
He became a vet, but that wasn't his first love. He wanted to train racehorses.
Absolutely. And we moved. I was very young, I think about 2-3 years old. We moved from Joburg when we were very young, when I was a baby. And he started a practice in Durban North, a veterinary practice, but he had a veterinary practice in Johannesburg. And then we came down to Durban, and then we moved into, when he started training horses, we moved into the stables, which is now Pick and Pay in Montclair. Okay? And used to work the horses at Clarewood. And that's where my love for horses started at that age.
And you started riding them work and getting on them?
No, hang on. I was only 3 years old, James.
Yeah, but I mean, later on, you ended up, when you were 10 years old, you wanted to get on their backs.
Absolutely, yeah, right. But I was 3 years old and I rode. He put me on a horse that I don't know where the picture is, a horse called Slough Fox.
Yeah.
Big strapping chestnut, big chestnut. That was me on the horse, and that was it. And
then you wanted to become a jockey?
Always wanted to become a jockey, yeah.
And what did he think of that?
No, he was, he loved horses, and he loved racing, and he loved the whole vibe and everything. And yeah, he had no qualms with me being a jockey. Absolutely no qualms.
As a vet, did he have an advantage being a racehorse trainer?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. In those days, look, we're going back a long time. I mean, that's the 60s.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely, I think, he was an owner and a trainer and a vet, so he was all at 3 in 1.
Well, what is interesting, you gave me a paper which we're going to put up here, which shows what he knew about veterinary work, and I'm just going to read a bit of this paper because it's very, very interesting. This was in the Veterinary Magazine, 1961, and it says, a note on the effect of vitamin B12 on the hematological picture of the racehorse by L.A. Simpson. This is obviously your dad, and published on the 8th of March 19. So this is a published paper, and it is a fascinating paper. Tell us a bit about it.
Funny enough, I didn't know it existed because my daughter, Hannah, my second oldest unmarried daughter, is also besotted with horses, and she's a jumper, and she did a whole project for her school about her grandparents, and we were delving into the photos, and then she found this piece of paper. That's, if you remember approaching her, this is how our conversation started with this. And I think it says there that he was asked by a trainer in 1957 for a colt that was going up to Joburg. Was that correct there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was that he was approached by someone to say, we've got a problem with the altitude in Johannesburg. Is there any way we can get around it? So what he did was he worked out the effects of vitamin B12 and iron supplements, which Hemo-15 we used to use and whatever. And he started doing a whole lot of tests on horses. And this paper, which is a published paper, and it's very interesting because published papers mean that it's accepted by the veterinary profession. Okay, shows that he took a horse and he gave it the course of B12 and Hemo 15 or whatever, some type of iron, and they raced it here and it won a 3rd division race, and then they went up to Johannesburg and raced it, I think 3 times. They gave it a sprint up before it raced, so it'd been at Joburg a couple of weeks, and it ended up winning on the 12th of December the following day and carried 7 stone, and then he duly won in a record time of 140, and then he's got this whole list of when they gave the horses the things, and the blood pictures, which they were already doing in 1961. They were doing blood pictures.
Yeah. And I think he tested about
169 horses.
169 horses, yeah.
Which is, it's an amazing breakthrough fact as far as horses were concerned, because Terence Millard was the supposed pioneer on blood pictures, but it sounds like your father was involved even before then.
Yeah, he was a very clever, he had a wonderful memory, and he was a very highly intelligent individual, and he just knew everything. General knowledge, he just had this photographic memory. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing. You grew up with a man who really was involved in all of this stuff, and he was quite good as well, because he won the King's Cup.
That's right, 1961 with a big chestnut. He always called this horse. It always loved to run in the soft grain because it's his was biggest plates.
Well,
called Mask Light, yeah.
Mask Light. There's a picture of the King's Cup, and that's a beautiful cup in those days. It's not the same today.
Okay, what is this? It's now the Daily News?
It's called the King's Cup still, but they don't give you that beautiful trophy which we've just shown, which is a really beautiful trophy with the Durban Turf Club inset on it, and it just is a magnificent trophy. Big moment for him to win the King's Cup.
It was huge, and I'll never forget it. Now you must understand, 1961, I'm 63, so just give me a bit of maths here. 1953, now 1961, I'm 9 years old.
Yeah, 9 years old.
9 years old. And I'll never forget it because we listened to the radio.
Let's take a break before we go on, because we've just got to show Magic Millions horses and then we'll be back. Let's pick these two up, and Jeff can carry on with Raymond's pushing in. Can we get the pictures up? There you go. Purely Atomic and Marmalady. They're the 2 winners from Magic Millions over the week. We're in a fascinating discussion, but remember, Magic Millions Adelaide this weekend, and that should be a good sale, but normally we'll go to the June sale and see what that's all about. Remember, Paul Lafferty is the guy you get a hold of if you'd like to go to the June sale. Right, let's go back to where we were. Sorry, where we were rudely interrupted, Jeff.
No problem.
Okay, 9 years old you were.
9 years old. My dad had a horse called Mask Light, this big chestnut.
Did it rain?
The going was soft. The favourite, I'll never forget it, was a horse called Giel Shah, which also ran in the July the same year, 1961. And my mother, we lived in the flats in Sonning, in this road, and we listened to the commentary, the great Ernie Duffield. And yeah, Giel Shah was the favourite, and Mask Light came storming up on the outside and won, I think, by about 2 lengths.
Who rode it?
Glenn Stewart.
You know Glenn Stewart?
Yeah, I remember Glenn Stewart. I remember, yes, absolutely.
He was a fascinating guy, Glenn.
Glenn Stewart.
And he was a damn good jockey.
Bloody good jockey, yeah. Yeah, he was. And that's where we also had a discussion about Johnny Jacobs, just to go back a bit, if you remember. When he was a print, because those days there was no jockey academy.
Yeah.
And these poor little youngsters, I think 14, were given to a trainer who had to bring them up, basically.
And Johnny Jacobs was your dad's apprentice?
At Montclair.
Yeah.
And my dad found, I'll never forget it, he found some cigarettes in his drawer. And he gave him a big walloping. You know, in those days, the cane ruled.
Yeah. Did you ever get found with cigarettes in your drawer?
No, I wasn't a smoker until Army.
Oh, okay. So the Army actually convinced you to become a smoker.
Correct, yeah. But I've given up. I don't smoke.
And how did your Afrikaans come along in the Army?
Yeah, it's baie goed, man.
Yeah.
A lot of Afrikaans swear words, yeah.
Just going back to Johnny Jacobs.
Yes.
Do you know what happened to him?
I got no idea.
Well, he ended up becoming a trainer in Johannesburg. If it has to be the same John Jacobs.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I think he had a very good horse called Grimalkin, if I'm not wrong, a very good sprinter. And he ended up, John Jacobs, going to America to train horses. And he trained horses in America for a long, long time.
And James is still alive.
I'm not sure. But I did come across him in about 1998, 1999 when I went to the States and came across and caught up with him. I was quite friendly with John Jacobs. He is a very nice chap and obviously a jockey because he's a tiny little guy.
Did he still, sorry to interrupt, did he still have the showing the marks on his bum for my dad's caning?
I wish I'd known. I would have asked.
You'd asked it.
Your dad was a strict disciplinarian.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. And as a trainer, you must have come across, trainer's son, you must have come across a lot of interesting people.
Oh, man. At Newmarket. We lived at Newmarket.
Yeah.
You know, that's where my brother...
That's down by the beach.
Yes,
the
that's
old
right. That's where all
Newmarket.
they trained, and the great Sea Cottage was there, and
You remember
Colorado
Sea
King.
Cottage?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. I know the breeding of Sea Cottage.
Okay,
Fairthorn out of the Mere Maritime. I'll never forget it. And did you know that Sea Cottage and Colorado King are related? Colorado King's dam sire was Fairthorn. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Jeff, you must have loved this business. I'm really surprised that we find you on the sort of on the street playing golf, and no one knows what you know about this. But tell us about the Newmarket stables. That must have been
wonderful,
fascinating.
Characters: Harry Katz, the trainer; Fred Rickaby, Herman Brown Sr.
Who's Harry Katz?
Harry Katz trained Masklight.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad owned it at that stage, Masklight, and Harry Katz was the trainer. And I'll never forget, he had a wonderful daughter, very attractive daughter, who taught ballet. And she was a ballet teacher. She was probably the only ballet teacher in Durban. And she was, and there was Johnny Joseph.
So you went to learn ballet with her?
No, not at that stage. I don't remember Dad wouldn't allow me. He wanted me to become a jockey, not a ballet dancer. But my other two daughters do ballet, so it's just full of it. And Newmarket, I saw horses being gelded because he had a very unusual method of gelding horses. I saw Tiger Fish being fired and blistered, and Tiger Fish went on to win the July Handicap.
Yeah. What was firing and blistering? A lot of people today won't even know what that is.
No, I tell you exactly what it was, and if I remember correctly, and some veterinary surgeons can help me on that, is that when a horse had bad joints, what they used to do was they used to give it a local anesthetic in the joints, and then with a firing exactly like you will, with a little pin fire, they used to infect the knee and get all the swelling out. And that is firing and blistering.
Yeah, and then they put that firing was they put the hot iron in and make holes all around the horse's joint. And then the blistering came later. It was red blister, wasn't it? That was very, very severe and caused all the skin to flake off and all the hair to lose all its hair. It's quite, I think it's outlawed today.
Definitely. But it worked. Tiger Fish went on to win the July Handicap.
It worked extremely well. What happened now, Newmarket stables, they were the stables, this was before you got Summerfeld. And Summerfeld, I think, was 1964.
That's right.
Used to get those visiting trainers come down from Johannesburg. Do you remember any of those guys?
Yeah, I met Sid Laird. Courtney, there was a chap, Courtney, I'll never forget.
Max Courtney.
Max Courtney, and
from Johannesburg.
I went to school with both of his sons, Guy and Ian Courtney. And we became very good friends.
Yeah, Max Courtney, I think that was his name, wasn't he? Real character,
absolute character. Yeah, and it was fantastic. We had many wonderful times here, my brother and I.
Now, racing was all about bookmakers and gambling and the joints and all those type of things. Do you remember the joints where they used to play snooker and cards?
Well, after my dad's work was done in the morning, and then they used to go into this little room. It had a squeaky door with a big net to keep out all the flies. Then I think the gins would come out, and they'd start playing this game called Clubbias. You heard of a game called Clubbias?
I've heard of it. The jockeys, Bert Abercrombie and them used to play it.
Yes, and there was Charlie Berenz, and all of them used to play Clubbias.
Is it a gambling game?
Yes, you can. You play each. You work on a point system. Whoever gets to 501 points, and you have to know what the other person. It's a very similar to bridge, but it's a wonderful game to play when you're playing with somebody and you play pairs. You have great fun.
So now they used to finish work in the morning, and everyone finished very early, 9:30. Not going to have breakfast, eggs and bacon. They'd just go and have a few gins and go and play Clubbias.
Yeah, absolutely, for the rest of the day.
And how did you fit in? You're a youngster. Were you just sort of hanging around?
Yeah, we used to hang around. There was a little big silver, like a jungle gym. My brother and I used to play with the grooms. We used to help feed the horses. In those days was, if I remember, oats, shredded carrots.
Yeah.
You know, not like the cubes that the processed food was all natural.
Yeah, in those days it was oats,
lucerne,
hay, proper oat hay.
Carrot shavings.
And then they mix it all with a bit of molasses. And
that's it, molasses.
And a whole lot of powders. What powders did your father put into the food?
They were white. I hope they were legal. I'm sure they were. It was white powder. I'm not sure.
And your father sadly did himself in. He committed suicide.
James, he battled alcoholism for many, many years. And I think
I don't blame him, sitting there every morning drinking gins with Laird and those boys. And they're probably pinching his money at Clubby House. But, it was enough to make anyone.
But I think he went to every single rehab place in South Africa, and he knew of his problem. And eventually, at the end of it, I mean, he was 52.
Yeah.
He had lost everything, and there was this. As he said to me in his final letter to my brother and I, is that. Fame came too quickly. He got success too quickly, and it probably just didn't know how to deal with it. And he related everything in his final note to horses. When the horse breaks down, you shoot it. It was when you reached the last furlong.
Yeah.
So his passion horses, and his ashes are now I put them at the Gravel, the finishing post at Gravel.
Oh, fantastic.
In 1970, I think it was, yeah.
So he was a very good vet, trained a few horses, owned a few horses, did all this research, it must have been fascinating growing up with a man like him.
Wonderful.
You count yourself very lucky, I would have thought.
Oh, listen, my parents were divorced very young.
Yeah.
But once you always say blood is thicker than water, and he was always my dad. And I'm very proud of what he achieved in life.
Yeah.
Because he was just a very special and very kind-hearted individual. Unbelievable what he did.
And left his mark on Durban Turf Club, having won the King's Cup. Les Simpson is absolutely fantastic. Now, talking about you, Jeff, so you've had this whole background, you've been involved in all this. Have you been involved in racing since then? In any way?
I had a share in a horse.
Yeah. Was it any good?
No, unfortunately, I don't think it did too well. It was called Time to Shine, and Herman Brown Jr. trained it. I had a share in with two other people. But
you knew the Browns well, obviously.
Herman Brown Sr., yes, a wonderful man.
He was a good snooker player.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, 100%. I think he took a lot of money. He was a very sharp,
operator.
Very sharp man.
Yeah,
very sharp.
Yeah. A lovely guy.
Lovely guy.
He would sell you ice in winter. He's one of the greatest salesmen I ever met.
Absolute gentleman, and always very well dressed, just like your dad.
Yeah, dapper, well dressed.
Dapper, well dressed. Yeah.
It was a different era, Look at us today. We wear sort of open neck shirts and shorts.
The characters, and I don't think there's an industry that has so many wonderful characters like this horse racing industry, from the jockeys to the trainers to the owners. They're just wonderful people.
Do you follow racing today?
I still do. When I say I follow it, I don't gamble except on the Met and the Durban July, but I read the results. I read from Fairview to every single race in South Africa. I look at the sire, and I look at the jockey, and I look at the trainer. And I just love to have an interest. I just love it, and I watch. Okay,
so you're obviously involved still today. You know about the business. What would you do how would you instill more interest in the sport? There's got to be ways that we get people involved. You're a passionate man, and you're passionate because of the way you brought up. Is there a way to bring people into racing today?
I think, what they're doing, and I saw that this no marketing campaign with the Durban Turf Club is getting young people involved, because that's where you've got to go. And I think the way to go is big syndicates, where it doesn't cost you that much money to own horse, because it's such a thrilling game, and it's a wonderful industry, and it keeps a lot of people employed. But I would, because it's not a cheap sport, but it can be if you get a lot of people involved.
Syndicates, I know lots of people have tried syndicates. The problem with syndicates is it seems to be that they become impersonal. People like to be on a one-on-one basis with someone so that they can sit and talk to the person who's involved. Syndicates, you tend to get ignored. You know, the syndicate nominee, the guy who runs it, he's the guy who does all the chatting. And you know, today, I find them very difficult to run. I managed a lot of big syndicates in my time, but you need to get people to the races as well. Why is there no excitement about the races? Why is it that people don't want to come to the races?
I think it's a lot to do with the off-course totes, because in the 1960s, you couldn't swing a cat at the July gallops. Yeah. I mean, I used to go to the July gallops with my late dad. Yeah. I mean, it was chock-a-block. I mean, even the July handicaps in those days, you couldn't swing a cat. Yeah, it was just full of people.
When you think of it, times have changed. You know, social media, you now got cell phones, you now got all these things today and that occupy people's minds. Whereas in those days, and the casinos, you know, you got the casinos down the road if you want to go and have a gamble, yeah. Open 24 hours. The horse has got to be the key, Jeff, you know. The horse, I just hear from chatting to you, horses, even though you're not involved, are such wonderful animals.
Fantastic animals. And that's why if you get a horse like Sea Cottage, everybody used to go. They didn't want to stay at home and watch it listen to it on the radio. They wanted to go and see the horse in action, just like they have in America with the Secretariats and all the great horses. This horse has just won the Triple Crown.
American Pharaoh.
American Pharaoh. Yeah. And you look at the people they get there. So if American can do it, and they've got even more highly sophisticated betting probably than we have, but they get people at the races. Why?
Yeah, they use lots of gimmicks to get them. We're going to wrap. We want to show a picture. Tell us all about this picture. This is fascinating. Right, let's pick up this pic. Yeah. What is going on here?
I'll tell you what's going on. My dad was called to look after the animals, horses, at this film that they filmed in KwaZulu-Natal called Zulu Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot believe you thought it was Clint Eastwood, because you don't know much about acting.
I know nothing about films.
Definitely that's not Clint Eastwood. This guy, Burt Lancaster, is a far better actor than Clint Eastwood.
Is that your dad with the eye patch?
That's my dad with the eye patch, because he lost that left eye in the war. Yeah. And that's Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster. And all the ladies of today, they were dilly about Burt Lancaster. He was like the Richard Gere of today, or the George Clooney.
Man. Your dad was obviously looking after the horses.
Correct. And I think he had a good couple of drinks with old Burt Lancaster, and they had a good time together. Yeah.
Jeff, it's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us. Anything you'd like to say before you go about the racing industry?
You know what? Long may it last, and we need heroes. I mean, we need good horse heroes. Because that's what captures the imagination of the public. You know as well as I do. But it's been great, James. Thanks very much for having me. It's been wonderful to talk about my late father and my grandfather, who deserves the recognition. Yeah.
Well, they both got the recognition on the most famous TV show around, Jeff.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we are able to get you here. Jeff Simpson, fascinating individual, and really it just shows you there are so many characters out there in this racing industry that we don't have any clue about. And they step forward in the most odd ways, and it's our pleasure to be able to bring them to your attention, and hope you've enjoyed this interview. And until next week, where we'll have Mace Roberts Part 2, enjoy your week's racing.
It's a very good race, Laura. I thought Mujareb had a chance of doing it again. Forey's Waltz moves in. He's taken over as international favourite in front of Ertagel. He's been well supported, and he is also pick 6 favourite. Forey's Waltz but pounced on the outside, went to his stable companion. Ertagel battles back, but the South Africans are 1, 2 and 4 in the end. The real Forey's Waltz has stood up this season. Banadia leads. Anna Arobio is coming at him. The post is looming up. Anna Arobio lunged, and I think in the last gasp has won. Mike's a magician in successive races. It's at a cock 1, 2, probably 1, 2.